Welcome to Perfect Vocals Academy, a channel that puts out cutting-edge audio engineering content. If you would like to learn more about audio engineering, head over to the description and sign up for the Vocal Mixing Masterclass. Also, click the subscribe button. Let's jump into this next video. Hey guys, this next video is going to be about how to hear compression. How do you hear compression? I've been asked this many times. How do you hear what you're doing? How do you hear if it's enough compression? How do you hear if it's too little compression? There's really no right or wrong answer, but I'm going to show you the ways that you can really decide how to use compression and what you're actually listening for. So when a vocal's not compressed, you have peaks and valleys. So looking at this vocal right here, this is a peak, this is a valley. This is a peak, this is a valley. Now, it's not necessarily that you need the valley to be as loud as the peak, but it sounds better to our ears if they're closer in range. When you listen, this is no compression. So listen to this word and listen to this. They're pretty drastically different. If you were listening to this vocal by itself with no beat,
I feel like modest, everything I touch is gold.
That doesn't sound bad, you know? I mean, your need for compression is way less if you're not competing with a production, like a beat. But when you have the beat going, and you mix this part here, this louder part, so when that's sitting right in the beat, these lower parts are not going to sit right in the beat. So that's why we need compression. So that's a great way to hear it is just simply hearing those peaks and valleys, or those peaks and smaller peaks.
I feel like modest, everything I touch is gold, baby. I feel like modest, everything I touch is running out. Fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
So, especially a line like this, it's going up and down in volume very quick.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
Like I noticed this. That was a loud syllable.
Running out.
This was a loud syllable.
Running out, fuck you talking about. Now, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
So we want to level this stuff out. So in this case, I started with a multi-band compressor. Because I thought the vocal was pretty consistent, as is. Pretty consistent. So here's with the multi-band. That fixed a lot of what we were hearing. See, there it is without. And then with.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
Without.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get. Running out,
with.
fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
Yeah, so that fixed a lot of it. So this is compression. This is still compression though. This is a multi-band compressor, and we compressed the mid-range and the high mids, which is like those kind of loud words that were popping out. Those were all mids and high mids. So we tamed those a little bit, and we did the low mids. So anything that got muddy in there got cleaned up too.
Running out, fuck you
Okay, let's get to the actual compressor.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
Okay, this first compressor, I did use two compressors. This first compressor is going very light. I got a pretty fast release.
Running out, fuck
That's to keep the vocal pretty up front.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
The attack on an 1176 is pretty fast no matter where you put it, but this is kind of like a medium fast attack.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
That lets the peak of the vocal just come through a little bit. So let's listen without. Let's try to hear this stuff.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
And then with.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
It's very subtle, but we tightened it up a little bit, very little bit. So let's bring in the second compressor.
Running out, fuck you talking about.
Immediately heard it grab the vocal this time. This second compressor is dialed in a little heavier. Same attack, a little slower release, so it glues together a little more.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. Running out.
I'm gonna back off the input a little bit.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
So it should sound very, very controlled right now. So let's listen without these two compressors.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
Should be a lot better. So let's.
Running out, fuck, running out. Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
Let's mess with the attack. Let's go with a very fast attack.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
That flattens it, but does it flatten it too much? I mean that you can decide that, but we'll dial it back some.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. I feel like mine is everything I touch is gold, baby. I feel like mine is everything I touch is gold, baby.
Okay.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. I feel like mine is everything I touch is gold, baby. Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. I feel like mine is everything I touch is gold, baby. Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. I feel like mine is everything I touch is gold. Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. I feel like mine is everything I.
Okay. Let's play around with a slow attack. Now we heard the fast attack was very flattening. Let's play around with a slow attack.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. I feel like mine is everything I touch is gold, baby. Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. I feel like mine is everything I touch is gold, baby. Get them on 4 ways. You need anything, I get it to you in 4.
Okay, so it sounds good for the most part. There's a couple things I hear kind of pops out. Listen to this word.
You need anything, I get it to you.
Hear this here.
Thing I get it.
The word I kind of pops out. The compressor isn't able to grab it.
You need anything, I get it to you in 4.
And you can hear the compressor kind of pulling things a little bit. I mean, it's not bad. It's bearable, but it's a little too punchy. But on certain words, it sounds great. I mean, this could be one of those things to where you automate the attack time to where on those parts that pop out, you just tighten the attack time for those certain words.
Cardiac diamond my wrist, you couldn't handle the shit. Tell him it's the fucking kid.
Yeah, it's a little too punchy for my taste.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips.
But yeah, that lets you know, like, that's more if you're going for a really natural sounding vocal to where there's all that dynamics, and say the artist has a certain punch to their voice and they want to be very dynamic with it and hear like the voice kind of accent in certain spots, then a slower attack is what you'd want. But Normally, you're going to want it faster, though.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. I feel like mine is everything I touch is gold, baby.
Yeah, I like it right up the middle here at 4. It's a nice, happy medium.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my...
Okay, I'm going to show you now what it sounds like when you overcompress.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to...
Do you hear the sibilants? Everything gets kind of harsh. It starts to just deteriorate the sound and make it...
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying...
It's too aggressive. It's too aggressive.
I feel like mine is everything I touch is gold, baby. Get him on the phone.
Yeah, hear what it did to
Get him on, get him, get him.
that it kind of made a k sound at the beginning of the G.
Get him on the phone.
And listen without it being so heavy.
Get him on the phone. Get him on the phone. Get him on the phone.
Sounds good. So when you overcompress, you're introducing new problems to the sound. A problem that never really seemed like it was there, you're creating it.
You need anything, I get it to you in 4 days.
Yeah, and I like going lighter with compression because, as you can see, this is the actual chain I used for this song. I followed up with another multi-band, dynamic EQ, fresh air, all these things. All these things really make it to where you don't need to compress that much.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. I feel like mine is everything I touch is gold, baby. Get him on the phone. You need anything, I get it to you in 4 days.
Perfect Vocals Academy presents the Vocal Mixing Masterclass. Do you want to become a profitable audio engineer? This course includes a PVA sound treatment ebook, 15 in-depth videos, as well as worksheets for each video. Bonus video, How to Profit as an Up-and-Coming Audio Engineer, and a bonus Pro Tools template using Waves plugins is also included.
Get him on the phone. Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to...
So let's hear with all my plugins without the compressors.
Running out, fuck you talking about, trying to get my chips. I feel like mine is everything I touch is gold, baby. Get him on the phone. You need anything, I get...
It actually sounds really good. It sounds compressed, but it is with the multi-bands, but it sounds like there's normal compression, like normal compressors on there.
You need anything, I get it to you in 4 days.
So that just shows that we don't need much.
Cardiac diamond my rings, you couldn't handle the shit.
I'm getting like 1 dB on that one,
Cardiac diamond my rings, you couldn't handle the shit.
couple dB on that one.
You need anything, I get it to you in 4 days.
So yeah, that is basically what to hear. So I went over what it sounds like with with no compression at the very beginning, how you have your peaks and then you have your parts that just don't sound that well or don't sound that loud. So the beat kind of drowns it out. So that's too little compression. And then I showed you what it's like when you crush it and all the problems it introduces. You want to try to find that happy medium. Use your ears, mess with the threshold. Don't use your eyes, because, you know, obviously if you look at how much I'm getting, 1 to 2 dB of gain reduction, you're going to think, well, that's not enough. Well, not necessarily. That's just what ended up being what we needed for this mix. So definitely use your ears and try to get the smoothest vocal that you can. Very smooth is what we want, and consistent. So, and then check out the plugin Vocal Writer, Waves Vocal Writer. This can make it to where you don't need as much compression. You can put it before your compressor to make your compressor work less, or you could put it after the compressor if you want to just level some things that you don't feel like the compressor is doing that well. So both of them work either way, and you're not compressing, it's just right in the fader. That's it. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Check out the Vocal Mixing Masterclass, link in the description. Get the free mini course. It's a sample from the Masterclass that shows you how to use Melodyne and Pitch Correct. And tell all your friends, share this video on social media, and I will see you guys next week.